Hello guys, would you trust your own money to any of the Russian banks? I believe the answer is no. What makes it even more interesting, those people who keep speaking about the strengths of the Russian Federation, its invincibility, would also say no. And do you know why? Because deep down inside they know Russia is all fake and Russia is the weakest ever. Actions speak louder than words, and that is why apolitical Russians keep withdrawing their money at the highest speed ever from different Russian banks. During 21st days of December, they withdraw 400 billion of rubles. That is huge. And all of this is happening in the context when the head of the central bank and various other banks like Sberbank literally beg these Russians not to do so because these panic withdrawals literally speed up actually the unavoidable collapse of the Russian banking system. Their regional budgets are empty. People stopped receiving their wages in time. They also experience severe labor shortages in very different areas of the Russian industry. And now, with the federal budget empty, lacking trillions and trillions of rubles, Russians know. Soon they will have no money at all. So trust the actions. Trust the actions of the Russians inside their own country because they know way more than your media try to, portray based on the data received from the Kremlin, Lavrov, Putin, and other liars. My name is Anna. I'm from Ukraine. I'm in Ukraine. And if you want to see Putin in The Hague, subscribe, share these videos to speed up the process and to keep implementing the only working peace plan to defeat and demilitarize Russia. And one of their weakest points is, of course, their economy. I keep reporting about the amounts of money that Russians keep withdrawing from their bank accounts. Why? Because that is the demonstration of trust that actually does not exist between the Russian government and the Russian population. There are generations of people that were traumatized by the Kremlin and know their money, their personal assets can disappear during just one night. To tell you the truth, I believe that already billions of Russian rubles, personal rubles, are already burnt on the battlefield, totally unnecessary attacks on Ukrainian schools and kindergartens. And more Russians that describe themselves as apolitical come to understanding. And that's why they literally run to very different Russian banks. The ones that were reputable, that were popular, that seemed strong, but now report these very bad debts. That often we discuss an amount of bad loans inside the Russian banks. And these are sometimes even small credits that people took previously but are unable to return. And their size is constantly growing despite all this editing of debts, reconstruction of debts. Russians do not come to pay back these money. And the other side of Russians that had bank accounts, that had deposits, understand that, of course, this money will be taken out literally of their pockets. So please imagine that during these 20 days of December, Russians withdraw 400 billion rubles. That is huge and I think speaks louder than any numbers that, Russian officials may send to the International Monetary Fund or elsewhere. And this happens in the context when banks already predict serious problems because of debts that are not returned, because of Russian stagflation. And now this panic, well, very logical, actually not in vain, but very realistic panic among the ordinary Russians who kept their money in the banks. Also, regional budgets are so empty that they cut various expenditures, including the payments to the Russian war criminals. You know that all of the Russian soldiers join this so called special military operation for the sake of money, nothing else. That is how they earn money. And when they stop earning money, because first of all, stagflation eats a lot of their profit, but second, literally their regions cannot afford covering these expenditures. So they are losing money. And this brings us to a very dangerous for the Putin's regime moment when he literally will have to conscript to make this general mobilization. And I'm sure this will result in very serious protests and can actually end Putin's regime. Millions of Russians escaped the country when he first tried it in 2022, and now he does everything not to start this general conscription, but they have no money and they have no people to do the jobs. That's why actually thousands of foreigners come to Russia. I know that's not something extraordinary for the United States, for the European Union, but for Russia, that is new. And I want you to understand that perhaps one of the most evil and hostile to foreigners societies is the one of Moscow, of St. Petersburg, and those people from India, those people from South America that come to work there on the factories and so on, I'm sure will soon escape back to their homes because they will be very evilly treated by the ordinary Russians. And second, they can actually end up on the front lines because it's getting more and more problematic for the Kremlin to get people, to fight and disappear as they do, like a million already lost, a million and close to 200,000 soldiers, a separate topic to discuss. And unfortunately, Russians continue committing war crimes here in Ukraine. Today, we've learned that they literally kidnapped 50 people from a small village in Sumy region and stole them, brought them to the Russian territory despite their desire and protest. And these are the actions that in the world are described as terrorism. But somehow, global media, governments keep calling Putin and looking for the things he may want. But trust me, those forecasts that if not defeated, if not demilitarized, and we're ready to do the job, he wants to continue with other European countries, causing problems in other parts of the world. That is the truth. Trust my Ukrainian experience. And they keep targeting civilian infrastructure, and we keep destroying military facilities, oil industry, submarines. This was, by the way, a very explosive week for the Russian Federation as war returned back and now burns their oil refineries, their drone production factories, their submarines, but also their banking system from inside. Share to spread the truth. Remember to subscribe to Anna Danilchuk channel, where we've got a lot of important, longer conversations. Also follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord. The links in the description of this video, same as the link to our merch shop. And if you're looking for some meaningful, beautiful Ukrainian presents, do check the merch and turn yourself and your loved ones into the ambassadors of Ukraine, reminding the world about our fight and the need to defeat the evil. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channels, but most importantly, thank you for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!